One, two. Oh my gosh, so close. He kicked out. He kicked out. He kicked.
Late, but rather late than never. Episode 70 here on Ring Takes here with Lewis and Brian. I'm Daniel. I'm here to bring you guys up to speed on the wrestling week. This week we have Rhea Ripley challenging Liv Morgan. Of course, we have MJF heel turn, which is going on in AEW and Ospreay. They had a 1 hour match. Another wrestling notes, but let's get right into it with Monday Night Raw this week. We had Rhea Ripley returning fully this time back to Monday Night Raw, basically addressing everything with Dominik Mysterio and Liv Morgan. What do you guys think about that? And Dominik Mysterio stuck between Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley getting re-implemented back into the Judgment Day and everything that's going on.
Yeah. Well, first, I like how this story was kind of like the central theme of Raw throughout the entire night. I mean, they kicked off the show, then they had numerous segments throughout the night, leading up to the match between Dominik Mysterio and Jey Uso. Which I thought was hilarious. If you went on social media afterwards, apparently the story between Dom and Rhea did draw back a lot to Eddie Guerrero in China when Eddie had gotten caught with cheating. He comes out with all the flowers and then Rhea wants no part of it, similar to China, and pretty much Dom all night is pretty much just trying to tell Rhea that it wasn't anything and Rhea not buying it. And the opening segment in of itself with Liv Morgan, which I thought was hilarious. How she used the fact that her voice was messed up to say that she's quite the screamer, which I thought was hilarious, kind of adding to the story. We kind of knew that the story was heading in this direction from the very beginning when Liv attacked Rhea after WrestleMania. I think I was the one that said, all right, now they have a little story going, especially when it was revealed that Rhea gotten hurt. I mean, first one takes one out, then the other takes the other one out, then then one wants to take everything from the other one. Now the other one is back to avenge. So they've had this story. I mean, we may not be the biggest fans of it, but it's a logical story. And now you just throw Dom in the middle of it as the biggest heel in the company. And I think this is the top story for the women right now. Is it not?
I would say yeah. I would say it is.
It's the top story in the women's division. So
it's arguably the top story in the company.
Well, actually, we'll see after SummerSlam what happens after SummerSlam. That definitely might change after SummerSlam. But it was I love how it was pretty much the theme of Raw throughout the night. Jey Uso getting involved. I think I shared that photo of Jey Uso and Rhea Ripley at Waffle House, which I love how Jey added into it, kind of adding to the tension. And then of course, with the Judgment Day segments backstage, obviously Carlito being the funniest comedy on Monday Night Raw with his little side comments, and that's not cool, that's cool, which I thought was hilarious. But I love how this story is picking up steam.
Yeah, I was literally gonna say Dom is literally Eddie 2.0, and I don't know, just with Rhea being back and the pop she's getting and the reaction, it's just shows how big Rhea is to the company right now. But also kudos to Liv for playing into this role, really hyping up the story of her, this wasn't really my intentions, but then now I realize I do want Dom and all this and this and that. So it's the battle for him, even though it's kind of different compared to the Eddie's thing, because Eddie was blatantly just cheating, where here it's just he's hey, I'm just I'm here, and she's she won't leave me alone, and you know. So I'm curious to see how it goes. If she is gonna end up like ditching him, if she wins the title, or if he's gonna screw her, which I feel like is what's gonna happen at SummerSlam. Like, you know, he's gonna come out, be in support of her, and maybe unintentionally cost her the title, you know, to prolong the story. What does that mean for Judgment Day? Are they going to kick him out of Judgment Day? You know, there's a lot of avenues where they could go with this, or even make it a longer feud or longer story, you know. But Rhea just looks dominant. Liv, you know, looking like the conniving, scheming, you know, heel right now, which is, you know, honestly, it is the biggest story going into SummerSlam right now, which is really making it's going to leave a lot of anticipation to this match. So definitely a good way to continue the feud and the story.
I definitely like the work that of course Rhea coming back is going to be impactful. We know how big of a star she is, how everybody's just drawn to her. But kudos to Liv Morgan as this as well, because when this started, everybody was like, okay, how long is she going to have the title? Is she going to wrestle? She's been wrestling recently, defending the title against Zelina Vega. And everybody was like, she doesn't stand in the ring next to Rhea Ripley and stand on even footing, right? Like, she's not like a Charlotte or a Bianca or in that case and type. She has to be conniving. She has to be manipulative. The innocent girl next door type feel that she's given in this this storyline here. And just kudos to her, because it's definitely given a different element, and that's the way that you do that in terms of wrestling and booking and stuff like that. If you have somebody who's so dominant, there has to be another way that you can get underneath their skin to create a wedge or doubt a belief that, hey, I want to figure out a way to keep this title. So kudos to Liv Morgan. I think she's doing a great job. Saying she's a screamer. The whole I wasn't into Dom at first, but then I wanted to hurt you, and then it ended up being more. And then Dom playing in the middle of this, being like the idiot in the middle of all this, and just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just and everything, and down to everything, because this affects every movement in Judgment Day. We saw how Finn Balor was moving. We've seen Carlito bringing comedy relief. We see Damian Priest basically being like, yo, I told you to handle this. I told you to handle this, and look what's happening, and look at all the shit that you're in. And now he's getting into matches with Jey Uso and losing and looking like an idiot. And he's sitting there trying to say, hey, I just want to prove you're mine. And then Rhea kind of putting him back in his place and saying, no, I don't belong to anybody. You're mine. So it still shows that she's still into him and wants him, at least storyline wise. So I just like all the boys involved, because at first I was just like, where's this going to go? How long is this going to go? They've been able to draw it out. They've been able to build it up week to week. And now Rhea Ripley's back, and it's getting... we're getting a match at SummerSlam between the two. So I don't know why it's not a ladder match, like how Eddie and Ray were fighting for Dom, which would have been hilarious. But
I think eventually we're gonna get to that, because I'll make an early prediction right now. I don't think SummerSlam is the end of this.
Is Dominik Mysterio going to be in a shark cage above the ring? And
there's going to be something. You got to come up with something where like Dom's love is on the line or some shit.
What match did they do where they had somebody suspended in a shark cage?
It was Enzo. They did it a couple of times. One time I remember they did it with Chris Jericho. Jericho was in the shark cage. It was KO and Roman Reigns. That was the first Royal Rumble match between them.
Oh, okay.
And then I remember specifically, we got Enzo Amore. Big Cass was facing Big Show, and Enzo Amore was up in the cage. I remember that. That was at SummerSlam. That was at a SummerSlam. So
I remember. Was it WrestleMania? Oh no, that was handcuffs. Who was in a cage? Somebody was in a cage. It might have been WC.
Like Paul Heyman or something at one point.
I think he was in one too.
I feel like he was in one. I can't remember.
Who was in a cage? I felt like it was Chyna in a cage one time. I know she was handcuffed before.
Yeah, she was definitely handcuffed. I remember that.
She was in a cage and she broke out. I can't remember, but
yeah, I don't remember either.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, the 90s. But yeah, they got to do something. Dom has to get involved in somehow or something. Something has to happen, because everybody's integrated into it. Everybody's getting involved. Liv Morgan's being fantastic. And it's good to just have Rhea Ripley back because in the women's division, you kind of felt like, hey, what's going on? It's kind of stalling a little bit. But to have Rhea Ripley returning definitely created more of an impact going forward. I can't wait to see what they do at SummerSlam and see how they prolong this story. It's going to be interesting, especially see what place Dominik Mysterio plays in it. Let's